I used to think everyone was like me. Then I met Rachel. She was that cool girl who was my age and lived across from us in the building. My mom always wanted me to go over there, but I was always too shy. And one day, I did. I was 9. We were instantly best friends. I counted the number of steps it took to get to Rachel's house. It was 17. Now it feels like a mile. At school, I was always the mature one, but with Rachel, I never stopped wanting to play pretend. The one constant in my life was the donut shop with Rachel on Fridays. No matter what I was going through, I could always sit there and talk with her. It was our own little candy-coated world where problems were just something created to pass the time. She was always one step ahead of me. She had better makeup and knew how to dress, so people treated you different. People took one look at me and that was that, but everyone looked at Rachel a little bit longer. Of course, she's attempted to change that many times. I've been through no shortage of instantaneous makeovers. Sometimes I find an old tube of her mascara or blush lying around. I always try to throw it out of the house, out of my life, but I never do. She was always more complex than I was. I mean, she's been through a lot of shit, and I've been through most of it with her, as much as she'd let me. She always needed more time, more space. She never asked for help, and every single time this happened, I wouldn't see Rachel for days. Days. And then I'd absolutely lose it because, that's how I am. She was always about facing your own problems and conquering them alone. She thought anyone who asked for help wasn't trying hard enough. I helped her anyways. And then she'd just come over one day saying, "Let's go to donuts," like nothing had ever happened. And I had to pretend nothing did either. She could usually make me do anything. When we were in 6th grade, she made me take a blood oath because we could finally be sisters. And I did it because you do stupid things as a kid. Summer before freshman year was the best time of my life. It was one long, simple, happy note I could listen to forever. But freshman year was a cacophony of different sounds, and I never could find the melody. It got frustrating because Rachel went to a private school and I was left to face the halls alone. And though we still met on the steps and at the donut shop and had sleepovers and makeovers like usual, it became less and less. We still made time, though. Puberty hit Rachel like a truck and me more like a slow-moving, jammed-up tractor. In high school, Rachel found exactly who she was, or maybe she already knew who she was, but high school only made things more confusing for me. All it did was make me question myself. I was lost. I didn't know who I was, and because of that, I didn't understand why anyone liked me. Nobody likes you if they don't know you, and how could anyone know me if I didn't even know myself? When I was with Rachel, she created my personality for me. But the more I was alone, the more I realized who I was when I wasn't being Rachel's best friend. I was nobody. In September of sophomore year, I took a different kind of blood oath. Promise that after 5 minutes, I realized I never wanted to make again. It was 2:30 p.m. when I texted Rachel. We needed to talk, and by 10 p.m. the next day, she was waiting on our step, eager to hear whatever I had to tell her so bad. I used to think that everyone was like me, that everyone understood what I did. Then I told Rachel about that night, about how I'd been feeling that way for a while, and about how I was getting help, but it was going to take some time. She looked at me the way someone looked at a dying fish, flailing around helplessly, a look that was a tug-of-war between disgust and pity. Maybe it was fear. Maybe she was just scared, and she'd say, "We should talk more, and I can help you through whatever you need. You aren't sick, you just need time. I get it." But she didn't. She just looked at me like I was one of those weak people she'd always criticized. Now she knew even her own best friend was one. She said, "You don't need therapy, there's nothing wrong with you." And I said, "Well, obviously there is because of the cuts on my wrist." And she said, "Well, then what's wrong with you? Because you don't tell me anymore. What's wrong with you?" I couldn't say. "I don't know how to help you. You are a burden. I feel like I'm losing you. You are a burden. This isn't you. I know this isn't you. You are a big, fat burden." I didn't see Rachel that much after that. Well, in the beginning I saw Rachel some more, but I didn't see the Rachel I knew. I saw another Rachel painted on, concealing the one I loved so much. Painted Rachel always had the same expression on her face. But as time went on, we became so distant, I finally realized that I had lost her. And even though I still lost sleep and had trouble eating, I still had dark days and I couldn't breathe, now I could survive. By myself. It wasn't much, but I was proud of myself for that. I even sort of developed my own style, I guess. My therapist said I was taking steps towards getting better, and no matter how small, they were still steps. But even now I can't cross the one, at least not without relapsing for a quick second back to the old days, back to when I had a best friend and having to tear back into reality like a bullet through flesh. It hurts, but it's a numb hurting now. I haven't told my therapist about Rachel yet. I'm not ready to talk about her like she's a distant memory, because every day when I see her across the hall, I'm reminded she's not. She's just not mine anymore. But maybe I am forgetting the times when she got offended at random things I said, or when I had to chase her down the hall just to get her to tell me what's wrong with her. But I choose not to remember her like that. It's been like this for 6 months, and 6 months I've gotten a lot better. I used to think when I got better we'd just go back to being friends, but even though that world is 17 steps away, I can never seem to go back. Maybe I should just start taking the elevator.